Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. A major air safety question mark is now hanging over Air India after new details have emerged in the probe into the AI 2379 incident. The flight bound for New Delhi reportedly suffered a sudden and severe loss of altitude at cruising height, with flight data analysis now pointing to a descent of around 676 feet. Inside the cockpit, aural and system alerts erupted together. The autopilot disengaged and the aircraft experienced a sharp negative G excursion. The aircraft eventually stabilized, but the incident has raised serious questions about what happened inside the cockpit and how the incident was handled afterwards. The pilot later made a pan-pan call to Delhi ATC, an international urgency signal used when assistance may be required, but where there is no immediate distress signal. Now, questions are also being raised over the alleged consumption of marijuana by the pilot in command and whether Air India had any prior knowledge of it. Another key question is whether the first flight safety report was fully disclosed, with the reported document containing 13 warnings, including hydraulic failure warnings and autopilot off warning and low hydraulic fuel alerts. Air India has since announced mandatory substance screenings for all group pilots, and with the government now pushing for an expedited probe, the FDR and CVR secured and an interim AAIB report expected within a month. The big question is, was this simply a terrifying flight incident, or were serious safety failures missed, minimized or hidden and taken for granted? We take this conversation forward. I have with me on the broadcast Group Captain GP Bajpai, who's an aviation expert and he's a former consultant in flight safety for Air India. Vandana Singh, aviation expert, with us on the broadcast as well, Air Commodore Sanjeev Medirata, and we have with us Group Captain Tapesh Chaudhary, former IAF and pardon me, aviation expert, with me on the broadcast. Let me begin with Group Captain GP Bajpai, if I may. Group Captain Bajpai, basis the initial statements and testimonies that we now have, sir, from Air India, putting aside, I'll come to the consumption of marijuana by the pilot in just a moment, but there was clearly a failure of the systems. In your assessment, sir, what exactly went wrong? How could 3 independent systems drop simultaneously, sir, on the flight?
Madam, first of all, good evening to you and to all my esteemed panelists and to millions of your viewers. You have rightly stated that in this particular flight, if you asked about the Air India statements. Initially, Air India came out and gave a press release that it's a minor incident of turbulence. Subsequently, after 6 hours, by that time, they must have gone through the DFDR analysis as well as CVR cockpit transcripts. Then they changed the statement and they said that it's a transient technical failure. And subsequently, now as of there is a Airbus dossier also has come out in public domain, wherein it has confirmed, because what happens that when aircraft flies, Airbus has an arrangement that throughout the flight continuously it can monitor the FDR data or flight parameters through certain arrangement with them as a OEM. So they came to know what has happened, what all systems have happened. Minute by minute, they must have monitored what has gone wrong. Apparently, the Airbus dossier, which has come to public domain, it makes things very clear that it gives the sequence of events. On 4th August, approximately at 8:32, first the G system hydraulic pressure was not available, or it was system pressure was low on the flight control. Subsequently, within a second, the yellow system and as well as blue system pressure also got vanished. Means now both the laws, one was the normal law, another was the alternate law. Airbus has got 3 types of laws to monitor the flight control or for the flight controls. One was the direct law, one is the direct law, second is the alternate law, and third is the first is normal, alternate, and third is the direct. So aircraft came in the direct, and After 1 second, when yellow and blue system pressure was also not available, so there was no control whatsoever, then the co-pilot who was on the control, he must have applied to improve the situation. He must have put the aircraft on nose dive situation. Please imagine, for your viewers, they must appreciate, this was that situation when you have put on the electric switch on and power had gone, and suddenly power comes, then there will be light will come on. Similarly, suddenly hydraulic pressure was applied and steep descent took place, and that is the time when all this horrifying event has taken place. 20 passengers and 4 cabin crew got injured. Subsequently, when hydraulic pressures got resumed, so that time, after that, it was uneventful flight. Aircraft landed safely at Delhi airport.
All right. Vandana Singh, bringing you into the conversation. Vandana Singh, when we look at three independent systems, once again in an Air India flight, somewhere misbehaving simultaneously, the question then does arise, is this supposed to be looked at as a design vulnerability? Are there larger implications for the entire Airbus A320 fleet?
Firstly, thank you, Devika, for having me on your show. Very good evening to you and the NewsX viewers. I have just come off a very turbulent flight myself, and I'm on the way back now, still at the airport, Delhi airport. I would like to state, first of all, I was also in an Air India Airbus 320 right now from Chennai to Delhi. Now, the passengers are so scared because everybody has seen this Airbus, dossier, which is out in the public domain. I've seen the chaos at the Chennai airport, where I've left at 4:30 p.m. today and just landed at 7:45. So I need to let you know that if it is something like this, and Airbus, which is the OEM, already advised that there is a triple hydraulic failure. They are giving the system messages. Why was this aircraft not immediately taken to Kolkata or Bhubaneswar? Why did it have to fly all those 40 minutes into Delhi? That is question number one. I'm not even here talking about the pilot in command facing the dope test, but I'm now talking about the fact that in such a situation, the question comes, if this was available on 4th August itself, and we are now 10 days later on to 14th August, why was this not advised by Air India? It's clearly Airbus is questioning about maintenance log, to show the maintenance log of last month, etc., to share it with Airbus. So that's one. The second thing, it's very dangerous, and I think all A320 Neos here need to be checked. I was on a retro version right now, retrofit. So the pilot was actually calming everybody down and saying, no, this is not that equipment. So we are in that state of affairs right now, Devika, where we aviators are having to actually calm the public down. So this is what the state of affairs is. I think the whole fleet needs to be looked at. Maintenance is a serious question mark here. And then, of course, the rules and regulations, the SOP for the unfit pilot, if it was followed or not followed. What about the crew resource management, with so many injuries there? Why was this chance taken? All of it needs to be answered. It is a concoction of all sorts. But what is alarming is that Airbus has already advised, as of 4th August itself, to Air India. Over to you, Devika.
Right, absolutely. Let me bring in Air Commodore Sanjeev Mediratta into the conversation as well. Air Commodore Mediratta, so in your assessment, when we talk about the role of the first officer, the co-pilot, the captain in this case, what was his role during the emergency, and was at least that role then played properly?
Hello, Devika. More than the roles of the pilot and the co-pilot, which we'll come to within a minute, it has been 10 days and every day you are getting a new version of the accident. In fact, from incident, it is now becoming an accident, and there are some other issues which Air India will have to handle now with this configuration and this classification. Initially, it was just intended to be passed off as a severe turbulence case. whereas we all know that the radar does pick up the the turbulence, unless there is a clear air turbulence. But from the very beginning, they knew that there was a transit problem, and there were multiple emergencies shown on the cockpit as to what had gone wrong. The hydraulic system which we are talking about, and which the other panelists had also said, that there are three different types, and two are driven by the engines and only one is driven by the rack, which is, you would have heard in 171, that is a turbine which comes out in case of an emergency, which in this case did not operate. Now the point is, what exactly happened? One version is that the captain, as you had asked, was at that time in the cockpit but not on the seat. He was standing behind when suddenly there was a disengagement of the autopilot, and there was a 4 seconds of loss of the elevator as well as the ailerons. Elevator, as you know, looks after the attitude of the aircraft. It will go up or down. So it is believed, and that is what the the Airbus log has also been trying to say, that there was 4 seconds loss. And in those 4 seconds, the co-pilot who was on the seat did try to push the aircraft down, that is trying to bring it to the level again, which did not happen because the signal was not there, electrical issues were there. And within 4 seconds, when it caught on again, suddenly there was this sudden negative G because of that action of the co-pilot. And that is what is being told as of now. So that was the role of these two people at that time. I'm not talking about the dope test and the other things as of now. We are more talking on the technical aspects of what exactly happened. And thereafter, if this situation had become all right, all the warnings had gone thereafter, the pilot obviously decided to continue to Delhi for various reasons, which some of them we may not be knowing, though he would have been worried about the medical care. And they did pass on a pan message, which implies that the passengers would have reached the medical aid about half an hour earlier than otherwise they would have reached that place. So that way, this was a decision which saved them a little time. But why they did not divert and route somewhere is still not clarified. And as I told you, every day a new clarification comes from the industry also, as well as the DGCA also. So probably to regain the confidence, like Vanna said, of the passengers, which is quite shaken, we'll have to regain their confidence and put things in order, and also show it that things are working and it's not so bad as it seems as of now. Yeah, Devika.
All right, Group Captain Chaudhary, bringing you in on that note, sir. When it comes to such situations and such incidents, as several of the panelists are also pointing out, transparency and communication then become key, sir, in the aftermath. And we have noticed a different a different variation of the story coming out on a daily basis. Should the airline at least introspect on that front and make sure that there is transparent communication? Because it's not a joke what had happened.
Absolutely, Devka. Good evening to you, and good evening to my all co-panelists and viewers. To put the things in perspective, I will just take 1 minute to put things chronologically, what has exactly happened. I'm not going about initially what report came out where so many people injured or not. But initially the fact was it is clear air turbulence, where one of the panelists is also told it is not picked up by the airborne radars. So there is a possibility of being clear air turbulence where it could be a trigger by CAT. And in Southeast Asia, along with the jet streams in this summer times, the CAT are prevalent and are available. Now the problem is that after that, the AIB and Airbus internal report pointed to the cascade of technical plus hydraulic system failures. It means the flight, some of them have also pointed out, but I will put it in a slow pace where people understand the chronology. The flight control computers actually went for 4 seconds or something like that. Elevators and ailerons went dark. After that, autopilot disconnect plus nose pitch fluctuations as well. So now, initially, the narrative was set for the for the weather turbulence, then suddenly shifted to the technical failure, possibly made worse by the turbulence. Now then comes the human part. Crew screening happened, DGCA protocol, both as per the protocol, or some fishy thing was found. Pilot immediately tested on landing. Pilot reported non-negative. Then action taken by the DGCA was immediately grounding both the pilots. Now the problem is the investigation is still determining if this is directly caused or worsened the mishandling of the control loss. But it triggered a systematic review among all of us and among the public. What are these? I'm now coming to your point, transparency. Why was it called turbulence? When FDR data showed computer or hydraulic failures, is what about real-time reporting? Why the investigation report is not happening? Why, if passengers are traveling, it's such a growing aviation market, why we are not supposed to know all these things, why it's happened? Now, technical point, what caused the 4-second flight computer blackout? Hardware, software, or power, or hydraulic on a A320 Neo. It is a 320 Neo aircraft. Then why the crew actually? What was the crew impairment? Was it under influence of a psychoactive material? What did the role he plays in the autopilot disconnect or controlling the aircraft? Seatbelt sign was off, no warning. Then what happens to keep seatbelt on when you are flying in such a CAT or jet stream prone areas? So there's so many things which is happened. Now Air Commodore is also told that now this is an incident which is converted to the accident. It is now actually classification. I think as per my knowledge is serious incident as of now. In A by France, B, Airbus technical team, all are investigating this. So the bottom line remains what I will finish my talk in terms that initial turbulence only being challenged, focuses on technical failure, then autopilot disconnect, then the crew response, then the injury outcome, and plus the separate but serious crew substance screening. And after that, the maximum focus is gone, like every panelist has told. Why not Kolkata, Patna, Lucknow? Why Delhi? So these are the very, very serious issues. And this lackluster attitude actually should be over in India. Though we are still, I would say, still one of the safest country in as far as aviation is concerned. I am not saying our rating has gone down, but I am surprised why this happens every time with Air India. Back to you.
Right, absolutely. Group Captain Bajpai, same question to you, sir. I want to understand from your perspective, as far as transparency in communication then is concerned, why is that not really given the sort of importance that it needs in such situations? It obviously does hamper somewhere the confidence of the flyer in the airline itself when we keep getting a different version of the story on a daily basis. Why not come clean and really rebuild and maintain that confidence in the customer, sir?
Madam, I have always advocated for the transparency. Until it is going to disturb or it is going to affect our investigation process. Because all this infrastructure of aviation has been created for the air traveling passengers. So they are the biggest stakeholder. They have a right to know what is happening. That is my first categorical statement. Second thing, for the clarification of your viewers, it's not the captain's decision in isolation that he decided to land at Delhi airport after encountering such a transient technical failure. I am pretty sure, almost 100% sure, the captain of the aircraft must have transmitted this information to Operational Control Center of Air India at Delhi, and it must have been deliberated, and head of OCC, who is a DGCA post holder, must have instructed captain of the aircraft to fly down to Delhi for better handling of the situation of the aircraft and the injured passenger, and in view of health of the aircraft that very time. Now I come back to what I also am on your question of the transparency. Once this particular incident, all the three hydraulic system getting failed and the flight controls remain unavailable for a period of 4 seconds. First of all, it is rarest of rare incident. Till date, it is not heard in any of the Airbus fraternity, whether Airbus 319 or 320 or 320 Neo or 321, anywhere such a scenario has not taken place. And this is an extremely dangerous situation. Luckily, it has happened on cruise altitude when the aircraft was flying at 36,000 feet. Had it happened in close vicinity of the ground, be rest assured, aircraft would have got crashed. All the occupants would have passed away. So now Air India, DGCA, Civil Aviation Regulatory Authority, BAE, who is associated with this investigation, AAIB and Airbus should take it so seriously. In this background, such a serious incident has taken place. I am surprised no one has demanded that this fleet should be grounded. One-time check should be conducted to check out what has gone wrong. Is it the hydraulic pressure? Is it the hydraulic pressure switch? Is it the electrical transducer? Is it the flight control computer? Is it the wiring system? That should be identified. All these things which are listed in the Airbus dossier should be checked thoroughly, and in case anything is found incorrect, should be corrected. Then only aircraft should be permitted to go for air. This is lacking. I am requesting very humbly to DGCA and the Airbus to consider this proposal extremely seriously so that such serious incident should not result in an accident.
Well, on that note, I thank all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast to take this conversation forward. Hopefully, the consumer, the customer will have greater clarity in the times to come. But on that note, thank you so much to all my panelists for joining us tonight to take this conversation forward. As I've been to a very short break.